This conference will now be recorded.
Right, so let's start. Today we'll understand what is HANA and what we are going to discuss in this HANA. Okay, so there's nothing like a demo kind of thing. We'll try to directly get into the subject. Okay, right. Okay, so this SAP HANA stands for what? High performance. Okay, high performance analytic appliance. High performance analytic appliance. Okay, so this is the abbreviation for what? HANA. So most of us know that HANA is a database. Okay, HANA is a database. Okay, but apart from database, I can say HANA is an application. Okay, it is an application that will make use of in-memory database technology. Okay, it will make use of in-memory database technology. The main agenda of ANA database is to allow the processing of what huge amount of what real-time data in a very short span of time. Okay, I repeat once again. ANA is a database, okay, or I can say ANA is an application that will make use of what in-memory database technology. So what is that in-memory? We don't know at this stage. Okay, it makes use of what in-memory database technology, which will allow us to process huge amount of what real data in a very less span of time or in a very short time. Okay, it contains some in-memory computing engine. Okay, as of now in the current system, all the calculations whatever we perform, we do it in what application server. Okay, so we generally retrieve the data from our database system. Okay, if you think in ABAP perspective, if you want to develop any report, what is the general style we'll do? We'll write some select queries, we'll pull the data from our database, and we'll store the data in what? Internal table. Okay, and that internal table gets created where? In the application server. Okay, so once the data is stored in the internal table, you'll do all sorts of what? Processing on that particular internal table data. You'll sort it, you will modify it, you may delete some unnecessary data, or you may insert some new data. So all kind of operations, or you'll do some calculations. So all kind of processing will do it in what? Application server. But whereas in case of HANA, the entire processing is carried out on what? Database side itself. Okay, so what we'll do initially is we'll understand what is the difference between the current system and the new system. What is that new system? HANA database. Okay, so first let us focus on what traditional approach. Okay, or we call that approach as what? Data to code approach. Okay, so try to understand. So the current system, or so assume that this is the current system. Okay, traditional approach. Okay, so in this current system, what we will do, assume that we have the application server. Okay, and assume that this is your database. Okay, what database? Non-HANA database. Okay, other than what? HANA database. So assume that this is your non-HANA database. Okay, and this is your application server of your ABAP system. Okay, done. So in this scenario, what we will do is just see here. Yeah, so something like this. So in the current system, the entire logic we are going to write in what? Application server, or our logic gets executed in what? Application server. So assume that this is your what? Current system. So all the calculations will be done at what? Application server level only. Okay, or I can say this is nothing but called as what? Data to code approach. We call this approach as what? Data to code approach. Okay, data to code approach. So what you are doing here, we are going to retrieve the data from our what? Database system. Okay, or just to summarize this, what I can say is we'll write some select queries, we'll send the request to our non-HANA database. It can be Oracle database, MS SQL, SQL Server, other than what? HANA database. Okay. So first we will send the request to our database system. Okay. It will pull some data from our database, and the data will come and sit in your application server internal table. You'll do all kinds of what? Processing. So what we will do here, so the first step we'll do is we will send the request. Okay, send the request to what? Database. Why we are sending the request? For reading the data or for retrieving the data. Okay, done. Okay, then what happens here? That retrieved records or retrieved data. Okay, retrieved data. What happens? The retrieved data will be stored in what? Our application server internal table. Okay, application server internal table. So assume that we are retrieving some what, 1 lakh records, for example. I'm saying, okay, we are retrieving some 1 lakh records. So all those 1 lakh records will come and sit in what? Our application server internal table. So once a data is stored in the application server, what you will do, you will do some processing on the internal table. Okay, so here the thing you have to understand is, to fetch this 1 lakh records, understood, to fetch this 1 lakh records from database, what is happening? It increases, okay, it increases what? Load on what? Database server. Okay, the database has to store huge amount of data. Okay, we are trying to retrieve that 1 lakh records from the database server. It increases load on database server, and then what happens? We need to return the data. We need to return the data from where? From our database server to what? Application server. So the data has to flow from what? The data has to flow from database server to our application server. So what happens here? It increases. Okay, it increases load on what? Network layer. Okay, so here the load will be on what? Database server, because our select statement gets executed on what? Database system, which has to fetch the data. So obviously, if you are trying to fetch more records, obviously there is some amount of load on what? Database server. And to return that record from database server to our application server, it will increase the load on what? Network layer. Sorry, I mean to say, yeah, it will increase the load on what? Network layer. Then what happens here? After reading the data, okay, after fetching the data into the internal table, what you will do? You will process your internal table. So when I say processing the internal table, means that we may loop the internal table, or we may modify the data, we may delete the data, or we may insert some new records, we may sort the data, we may do some calculations on the internal table data, all those things. So we'll process the internal table. This increases, what happens? This increases load on what? Application server, because we are performing our calculations on what? Application server. So what you have to understand in the current system is, load will be there on what? Database server. Load will be there on what? Network layer. And also load will be there on what? Application server. Okay, load will be there on application server also. So now in the new approach, what is the new approach here? We are going to consider the database as what? HANA database. Okay, so it is something like this now. So assume that this is your application server. Okay, and this is your database. What database here? HANA database. Okay, so this is your application server, and then this is your HANA database. HANA database. Okay, so what is the approach we are going to follow here? We call that approach as what? Code to data approach. Code to data approach. Okay, code to data approach. In the current system, we call it as what? Data to code approach. Okay, so here also obviously initially we'll send the request here. What request? You'll understand that going forward, and then I'll get some final data to my application server. So here the procedure we are going to follow is this important. The entire agenda of HANA database is this only. What is that agenda? Series. We are going to write what? Write what? ABAP code. Means you'll develop some ABAP code, and what we will do is we will push this ABAP code. Okay, push the ABAP code to what? HANA database. Okay, so in the earlier approach, what you are doing? we are sending the select statement. A select statement is will be fired from what? Application server. It has to interact with what? Database. Now what you are going to do? You are going to write the ABAP code, and we are going to push that ABAP code to what? HANA database. What is the agenda of pushing the ABAP code to HANA database? The code should be executed on what? Database server itself. So execute the what? One second, yeah. Execute the ABAP code in what? HANA database. Okay, execute the ABAP code in HANA database means what you are going to do? We are going to perform what? All simple and what? Complex calculations on what? HANA database itself. Okay, perform what? All kinds of what? All kinds of simple and what? It can be simple calculations, or it can be what? Complex calculations. Okay, after doing all these things, what happens here? It will return, okay, the HANA database will return what? The processed data means whatever the data that I need to show to the user, only that final data, that processed data, we are going to return it to what? Application server. But whereas in the earlier approach, what you are doing, we are fetching the data from the database system to our internal table, which resides in the application server. You may not show the complete internal table data to the end user. What you will do, you will process your internal table data, you will do some insertion, deletion, updation, sorting, all those things, and then you will display the, you will show the processed data to the user. Means you are doing the calculation, and then based on that calculated data, we are showing the process data, and that calculation is happening where on application server. But whereas here we have written the logic in such a way that this ABAP code, whatever you have written, it is executed on what? HANA database. So how to push that code, we'll see it as part of our course. Okay, we'll push the code to HANA database. All kind of processing will be done on HANA database itself, and at the end what happens, the processed data will be returned back to what? Application server. So when the business logic is getting executed on what? HANA database, the question arises. So here what is happening here? All the calculations we are doing in what? HANA database. So the question arises, if you are doing everything on the database level itself, will it not increase the load? No. In case of HANA database, it will not increase the load, because of the features of what? HANA database. What are those features? We'll understand in 1 or 2 days. Am I clear? So the main agenda of coming to HANA is what? Okay, we will say all the customers should to shift their database from what? Existing database to what? HANA database, so that we can improve the performance of the applications. The main agenda of going to what? HANA database is to improve the performance of the application, so that the entire business logic gets executed on what? HANA databases, so that it can leverage the features of what? HANA database. It can make use of what? Features of what? HANA database. So there are many features related to HANA database, like it contains what? In-memory database. What is that in-memory database? We'll understand. In-memory database, and it supports what? Both column and row storage data. The other databases mainly supports only what? Row storage data. But whereas HANA database supports both column and what? Row storage database. I'll show you that with example. Then it supports, HANA database supports what? Compression. Compression means if any redundant data is there, it will automatically take care of removing that particular redundant data, compressions. And it uses what? MPP, we call it as multi-core parallel processing. Means multiple things will be processed parallelly. Okay, so the main thing is, because of in-memory database, because of in-memory computing engine, there will be no load on what? HANA database server. Okay, so the agenda of ABAP HANA consultant, the agenda of, or the aim of ABAP HANA consultant is what? To improve the performance of the applications. How do we improve the performance of the application? By pushing your business logic, to what? HANA database, so that we can leverage the, we can make use of what? Features of what? HANA database, which will obviously improve the performance of your application. Am I clear? So here, what are the course we have designed? It is purely technical, no functional. It is purely technical and exclusively designed for what? ABAP consultant. So the prerequisites for getting into this ABAP ANA is you should be strong in our basic ABAP, and you should be strong in our object oriented ABAP also. Object and ABAP also, because there are many features in ABAP ANA where we make use of what object concepts. Again, we are not going to discuss the basic ABAP concepts or object and ABAP concept. We assume that we are already strong in that and will focus only on what ABAP ANA related features. Okay, so what is the main agenda here? To improve the performance of your applications. To improve the performance of your applications. How do you improve the performance application? By pushing your business logic to what? HANA database. So there are multiple ways of doing that. We have something called as advanced OpenSQL statements. We have something called as CDS views. We have something called as AMDPs. We have something called as ALV IDA reports. Okay, we have something called as HANA modeling. By using this, all those features, we will ensure that our business logic is executed in what? HANA database. Okay, so before I continue, any questions in this part, please ask me. In this part.
So is it audible?
Yeah,
Hello?
Mira, tell me.
Okay. So what is the difference between this ABAP HANA and S4HANA?
ABAP HANA is purely technical. S4
Okay.
HANA is purely functional. Purely functional means, what I can say is, suppose we have many modules in SAP. Okay, we have FICO. Okay, or we have SAP what? SD. Okay, we have SAP HRM. Right, these are all the models. So what SAP has done is they have released a new business suite. Okay, this business suite we call it as ERP. SAP ERP. So this SAP ERP business suite contains what? All these modules. All these modules. Okay. Now SAP has released what? A new business suite called as what? S4 HANA. Okay. S4 HANA means what they have done is, as part of this business suite. What do you mean business suite? Collection of what? Different applications. Collection of different modules. So what they have done here? Yeah, as part of this business suite, they have released what is for finance. Okay, they have released what is for logistics. Like this, they have released what many other applications. So just to tell you the difference, suppose if you take our SD module, suppose I want to create a sales order. So please mute your speakers. Again, if you have any questions, you can ask me. Please mute your speakers. Yeah. So if you take our general SAP system, if you want to create a sales order, what you will do? You will use what? VA01 T code. Okay. Now in this VA01 transaction, you will have many screens. Na? I need to capture the data in what? Many screens. Then only I can create a simple sales order. So assume that this VA01 transaction has got some, it's a transaction which contains some 20 screens. For example, I'm saying 20 screens. Okay, so as a user, if I want to create the sales order in my SAP system, I need to navigate in all these 20 screens. I need to enter the relevant data, then only the sales order data gets created, or sales order is created and gets stored in what? Many tables. Okay, now what SAP has done as part of this business suite is, they have developed, yeah, again, what is the agenda here? I have to create the sales order. So what they have done, they have replaced this traditional SAP screens. Okay, so these 20 screens, they are developed by using what? MPP na module pool. Okay, screen painter, dialog programming. Okay, what are the screens we see in our traditional SAP system? Okay, right? So all these screens are what? They are developed using what? Dialog programming, module pool programming, screen painter. Now, what SAP has done as part of this business suite is, I want to create the sales order. So they have provided only some 5 to 6 views. Yeah, I'm changing the wordings here. I'm calling it as what? Views. 5 to 6 views, and these are developed by using what? UI5 Fairy. By using what? UI5 Fairy means unnecessarily screens they have removed, unnecessarily fields they have removed. Okay, they have reduced the number of screens. Here I am calling it as screens, here I am calling it as views. Okay, and they are what here? UI5 based applications, UI web based applications. Am I clear? So it's a new business suite which will simplify your business task. It is a new business suite which will simplify your business task, and all these applications will run on what database? HANA database. So when they run on HANA database, whatever the features are there in HANA database, it will leverage those features. So obviously the applications will run faster compared with our traditional screen. So I can say, as an ABAP, as we all of us from ABAP background, okay, so if anyone says you know ANA means, don't say that you know S4 ANA, say that we know ABAP ANA. Means we are going to focus only on what technical part. Okay, because if you want to know about these things, we should know all these things, right? Okay, we should know how this SD module works, we should know how to this FICO module works. Okay, so we are going to learn ABAP ANA. ABAP ANA is technical concepts, and S4 ANA is what purely functional. Okay, now the requirement is, assume that yeah, here if you take our traditional SAP system, in VA01 T code I am having a screen. In that screen I want to add some additional fields. I have to add some additional fields. So how do we enhance that screen? We use something customer exits, baddies, enhancement framework, something like that. Okay, now here what I have to do, already the views are given by what SAP. Again, this view may not exactly fit my customer requirement. So in this view, what I have to do, I have to add some additional controls. I mean to say fields. So again, what you will do, will enhance these views by using what UI5 technology. Okay, is it clear, Mira and others?
Yes, yes, yes. So wonderful. Going further
Yeah.
regarding this ABAP, we are doing anything in cloud or like
No, it's not cloud. It's not cloud. We require ANA
okay,
Studio. We
okay,
require HANA Studio. I'll show you that. It's not cloud. Cloud
okay,
also we can configure, but it is not our job. So we'll, on the cloud also we use what? HANA Studio only. So instead of going to cloud, we need to install this HANA Studio. I'll tell you by the end of the session, you'll understand. Okay, so we are going to do the development on what? HANA Studio.
okay, fine. Thank
Okay. Yeah, others, any questions? So S4 HANA is purely functional, ABAP HANA is purely technical. Done. So we are all ABAP consultants. Now you will say that you know ANA. So what are the roles of an ABAP consultant related to what ANA environment is here? Try to understand. So what we are going to focus here, our database will be shifted from what? Non-ANA database to what? ANA database. So assume that this is your ANA database. Okay, this is the ANA database. Okay. Right. So basically, you'll have two development roles here. Okay. In ANA, if you think in ABAP perspective, you'll have two development roles here. One is native ANA developer, native ANA developer. Another is part is what? ABAP and ANA development. So both are related to what? ABAP only. Okay. So first thing is what? Native ANA development. One second, please. Yeah, this is your ANA database. So yeah, this part I'm calling it as what? Native HANA development. So if you are working as a native HANA developer, what we are going to do is, okay, as just now I told you, we'll use a tool called as what? HANA Studio. Okay, we'll use a tool called as HANA Studio. Okay, so by using this HANA Studio, okay, by using this HANA Studio, we will directly connect to HANA database. Okay, through this HANA Studio, we will directly connect to HANA database. What you will do after connecting to HANA database, as a native HANA developer, okay, if you take our ABAP what related, we have ABAP dictionary. What you will do in that SC11, will create the database tables, will create the views, will create the search helps, lock objects, type groups, dictionary structures. Okay, like data elements, domain, all those things. All those things we are calling it as what? Dictionary objects. Dictionary objects. Similarly, if you are working as a native HANA developer through HANA Studio, we will connect to what? HANA database, and you will design the database. You will design the database means you will create and you will manage. creating and managing what? Database objects. Creating and managing database objects. Okay, so we call this as SQL script programming. SQL script programming. Okay, SQL script programming. So what you will do here, will create and manage your different database objects. Again, we have many database objects here. We have tables, we have views, we have sequences, we have synonyms, we have cursors, we have table functions, we have stored procedures. Like this, we have many database objects. So this is one role. This is one role. What is that role? We are going to what? Work as what? Native HANA developer. Native HANA developer. This is one kind of development activity. Another kind of development activity is here. So assume that this is another scenario. So far, how you are connecting to the database through SAP GUI only. Na? So here also you will have two things here. One is SAP GUI, another is what? HANA Studio. Try to understand this. This is your SAP GUI and this is your HANA Studio. Okay. So what we are going to do here, we'll have what? Application server, ABAP application server. Okay. So this is one scenario. Through this SAP GUI, we will connect to what? ABAP application server, and obviously from ABAP application server, we'll what? Start sending what? Request to what? HANA database. Similarly, from HANA Studio also, we'll be connecting to what? ABAP application server, and again from server, we'll connect to what? HANA database. So what is this? What we are going to do here is, if you are doing it, if you are connecting to HANA database through what? I cannot directly connect to HANA database. Here it is, the interface is what here? Application server. So one scenario is, here we are going to develop the new reports. Develop what? New reports. Okay, or enhance. Enhance what? Enhance existing reports. Okay, using what? Advanced open SQL statements. Using what? Advanced open SQL. Okay, so if you are connecting to application server through SAP GUI, we can develop new reports or we can enhance existing reports by making use of what? Advanced open SQL statements. By making use of advanced open SQL statements. Okay, and next part is, if you are connecting to that using what? HANA Studio, what we are going to do, same thing. We are going to develop what? New reports. Okay, or we are going to enhance what? Existing reports using what? Same. What is that? Advanced open SQL statements. Advanced open SQL statements. Then what we are going to do, we are going to develop something called as CDS views, core data services. We are going to develop something called as what? AMDPs, ABAP managed database procedures. Develop what? AMDPs. Okay, or there are different types of development activities. Okay, and ALV reports is also there, but we call it as ALV IDA. That can be done through SAP GUI also. Okay, so this part, this is another kind of what? Development. Okay, so this development we call it as what? ABAP and ANA development. ABAP and ANA development. So what I can say is, if you're an ABAP consultant and if you want to project your experience on HANA, okay, what kind of experience you can project? What is your role in the project? Means, okay, the role would be, you will be working as a native HANA developer or ABAP HANA developer. So when I say native HANA developer, what you will do through this HANA Studio, okay, through this HANA Studio, directly we will connect to what? HANA database. Okay, and once we connect to the HANA database, what you will do? We are responsible for designing the database. In the sense, designing the database means, as part of that HANA database, we require different objects. We require tables, views, sequences, synonyms, cursors, triggers, okay, table functions, stored procedures, like that. We have different types of what? Database objects. Once a database is available, once a database is designed, okay, we can do other kind of development. What is the other kind of development? By using this SAP GUI or by using this HANA Studio, we are going to develop classical reports, we are going to develop ALV reports, we are going to enhance existing reports, or we will do other kind of development called as developing CDS views, AMDPs. So if you observe here, in HANA, there is some development which can be done only through what? HANA Studio. It cannot be done through what? SAP GUI. If it is SAP GUI, we can maximum develop new reports or enhance the existing reports. But there are other types of developments also, like HANA modeling, developing CDS views, developing AMDPs, that can be done only through what? HANA Studio. HANA Studio. Okay, so these are the two types of development roles for an ABAP consultant. Any questions on this? Please ask me. What is CDS views? What is AMDPs? Forget about that. We'll discuss that going forward. Yeah.
So again, assuming there is one system, SAP GUI,
Mira, your voice is very low and I'm getting some disturbance. Have you connected? Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yeah. Tell
So,
me.
assuming there is one system, the system is SAP GUI, and backend will be SAP HANA database. That means SAP GUI.
Mira, your voice is not clear to me. I don't know what is the problem. Have you connected your headphones properly?
Yes. Okay, now
Can you increase the volume, please?
okay, I increased. Okay, is
Yeah,
it
tell
fine
me
now?
now.
Okay.
It is still low, but continue.
Okay. Assuming that there is one system, SAP GUI, and the backend database will be HANA database. That means the SAP GUI we can use CDS based and AMD based.
I'm sorry, Mira, your voice is not at all clear to me. You please use the chat box, no? Yeah, others, can anyone others speak? Let me check others' voice also. Anyone can speak, Vamshi or anyone? Can you please speak? Let me check the others. Vamshi?
Yeah, yes, sir. Is my voice audible, sir?
Vamshi, your voice is very much clear. Mira, I think problem is from your end only. Please use the chat box.
Okay, okay, Sridhar, right now.
Yeah. No, native HANA development can be done only through HANA Studio. Raghavendra, answer to your question is the SQL scripting. When I say SQL scripting, it is not only just creating tables. Okay, there are other database objects that can be done only through what? HANA Studio. Only through HANA Studio. So it's not possible. SQL scripting can be done only through HANA Studio. If you want to develop a stored procedure or table function, all these triggers, all this comes under what? SQL scripting only. So that can be done only through HANA Studio, not from GUI. Yeah, Nagula Mira, please use the chat box. Any problem is there in the voice, please use the chat box.
Maybe Sridhar, I will ask later because like
Yeah. Okay.
it's long.
Fine. Yeah. Yeah, others, any questions in this part? This is important when you're projecting that, when you're projecting saying that you have knowledge on HANA. So what knowledge means? In the resume, you have to highlight saying that you worked as HANA, native HANA developer, and also what? ABAP and HANA developer. So it can be either of these two or it can be both of them. There's nothing like we can work only as a native HANA developer or only as ABAP HANA developer. Okay, as an ABAP consultant, you will be involved in either of the activities or both the activities.
Last, is it audible or still? Just,
It is very low. Yeah, tell me.
okay. Now my question is, let's say for example, if you take any customer, they're using SAP GUI, and backend database will be something honest like non-HANA database. So in that case, like they are migrating to HANA database, but SAP GUI is there. So
Uh,
it's coming.
Mira, I lost you. Voice is not at all clear. I'm sorry
Okay,
for
maybe
that.
I'll. Okay, maybe I'll talk to later. Okay, fine, no issues.
Yeah. Yeah, others, any questions on this part? Okay, so now, yeah, here we'll have two types of implementations. One is we call it as greenfield implementation. Another is called as sidecar implementation. Greenfield implementation and what? Sidecar implementation. Okay. So what is this greenfield implementation means? Just here. Greenfield implementation nothing but a fresh implementation. It is nothing but a fresh implementation. So assume that this is your what SAP ECC and this is your HANA database. So SAP ECC assume and this is your HANA database. Okay, or it can be what BW and this is your again what HANA database. Okay, so this is nothing but fresh implementation, or we call it as what? Greenfield implementation. Greenfield implementation means this is the first time customer is implementing what? SAP. Okay, so in the first time only, customer is directly going for what? HANA database. Understood? So we will be using ECC and HANA database, or BW or what? HANA database. We call it as what? Greenfield implementation, or in other way I can say SAP HANA, SAP HANA as what? Primary database. SAP HANA as what? Primary database. It's a fresh implementation. Now, if you talk about existing customers, okay, there are thousands and what? Thousands of customers. So assume that my customer is running his business on ECC system, okay, and is using some database. Some database. Assume that is using some Oracle database or some other database. Okay, one second. Yeah, Oracle database. So this is what database here? Non-ana database. It's a non-ana database. Okay, so this customer is running his business on SAP from so many years. Okay, so as part of this implementation, you might have developed many reports, so thousands of reports. So we call this implementation what? Sidecar implementation. Sidecar implementation, or in simple terminology we call it as accelerator. Okay, so what is the scenario here is my customer is running his business from last 10 years on SAP system and is using some what? Non-ana database. Okay, now what you have to do? Existing customers, we need to convince them to migrate their database to what? HANA database. Understood? So I can say like this: after 2 to 3 years, after 2 to 3 years, it becomes mandatory for every customer to migrate their current database to what? HANA database. SAP is not going to support non-HANA databases maybe after 2 to 3 years. They give some deadline kind of thing like 2020, 2021, but I don't know how far it is true. But going forward, it will become mandatory for every existing customer to migrate their database to what? HANA database. So, in order to convince the customer, what you have to do? See here. So, as part of this implementation, you might have developed what? Many reports, thousands of reports. So, and this business is running from last 10 years. So, as the business goes on, as a data also will get what? Increased. When the data is getting increased, obviously it will degrade the performance of our what? Applications. It will degrade the performance or application. So customer will come to you. Okay, assume that you are supporting a customer. Okay, in their business. So customer is saying that this report is what? The performance of this report is very low. It is taking too much of time to show the result to me. So what we have to do? We need to convince the customer to migrate their database to what? HANA database. So what you will do? You will not you will not what? Modify all the reports at a time. Initially, what happens is the administrator, they'll make a copy of this, or I can say they will do the data migration. It is not our job. Basically, it is done by what? basis consultant and BW consultant. So here data is migrated. Data is migrated from where? From migrated in the sense it's copied to what? HANA database. Data is migrated from Oracle to HANA database. So there are many tools available here. We call those tools as SAP landscape transformation tools. Okay, SAP landscape transformation tools. So by using those tools, assume that the data is migrated to what? HANA database. So the same data is available in what? HANA database also. So what we are going to do now, we are going to increase the performance of the report. So we'll take one report at a time. So in that report, what you will do in the current report, what happens? What is the traditional way of writing the logic? We'll write the select queries, we'll pull the data to our application internal table, we'll do all kind of calculations on application server itself. So now what we are going to do, we are going to enhance that reports. We are going to enhance that reports. What kind of enhancement we are going to do? We are going to modify the report in such a way that the entire business logic or the most of the business logic, instead of saying entire, I'll say the most of the business logic or most of the complex calculations are carried out on what? On a database itself. So this is nothing but called as what? Sidecar implementation. Means customer will continue this business in the current system. Okay, but what we will do, just to convince the customer to migrate their database to another database, we'll take one report at a time. Okay, we'll push the code to what? HANA database, so that obviously will increase the performance of the application. So assume that in the current system my report is taking some half an hour time to give me the result, to do a task. Now when I migrate it to HANA database, when I push my code to the HANA database and execute, it is taking only 10 minutes of time. So obviously the performance is what? Increase. So this is the way you convince the customer. Okay, immediately it is not possible for the customer to go to the new database. He cannot stop his business, he cannot halt his business and move to the new database. It is a time consuming process. So what we'll do in this sidecar implementation, we'll take one report at a time, we'll enhance the report by using that what? CDS views, by using that AMDP concept, by writing some advanced OpenSQL, by writing n number of things, will push our business logic toward HANA database, so that it will leverage the benefits of HANA database, obviously to increase the performance of the applications. Am I clear? So these are the two types of implementations we'll get whenever we have the HANA as a database. Here I can say HANA as a secondary database. HANA as a secondary database. Earlier HANA is what? Primary database. This is for fresh implementation. This part is for new customers. Okay, and this is HANA as what? Secondary database. So as part of our course, we are going to see both of them. HANA as primary database, HANA also has what? Secondary database. Means we'll take some existing reports, we'll enhance the report so that the performance will be improved. We'll compare the performance of the current report and the enhanced report. We'll see which one will executing fast. Any questions on this part? Please ask me. Madan, are you speaking? Your voice is not audible to me.
Hello.
Yeah, Madan, tell me.
Sir, are we going to see this HANA as secondary database or greenfield implementation, sir?
Both. Both.
Both. And also I have another question in previous slide. Are we going to see the uh, native HANA development objects and or HANA,
Both.
I mean
Both.
ABAP?
Both.
Both.
Both. Both. Both. Yes.
So, so is there any features that we cannot achieve through ABAP and HANA and we can achieve through native HANA and or vice
No,
versa?
no, no, no. Actually, the understanding should not be like that. If you want to do the ABAP HANA development, first of all, my database should be ready. Okay, database should be ready means I should have all the corresponding database objects. So first what happens is the native HANA developer, he will design the database. Means by using the SQL script programming, he will create all the database objects. Once all the database objects are ready, based on the database objects only, I can develop the new reports, enhance the existing reports, or develop the CDS views or AMDPs. Understood?
Okay, sir.
So
And
first task is this, and then we'll move on to this one.
okay. And when we can achieve everything through native HANA development, why we are going to ABAP and HANA development, sir?
No, no, no. Not, I didn't say it like that. We cannot achieve everything in the native HANA development. Here, by using this native HANA development, we can only design the database objects. I cannot develop CDS views. I cannot develop AMDPs. A simple understanding. See, you take our ABAP perspective only. In ABAP dictionary, what you will do? You will create the tables, you will create the views, you will create all the dictionary objects. Okay, so is that sufficient? We have to make sure of the dictionary objects in your reports. You have to make sure of your dictionary objects in module pool. You have to make sure of dictionary objects in your BDCs. Yes or no? So assume that this is like ABAP dictionary. This native HANA development is like what? ABAP dictionary. And this is nothing but like the report development, module pool development, BDCs, all those things. I cannot achieve everything by using native HANA development. What I said is, as an ABAP consultant, you may get an opportunity to work as native HANA developer or what? ABAP HANA developer or both. It depends on the what requirement and the exposure. That's the reason you should know both the things. I cannot say that I know only this one and I cannot say that I know entire HANA. No. If you know this, all this native HANA development as well as what? ABAP HANA development, then only we are called as what? ABAP HANA consultant.
Okay, sir. And the HANA Studio, what we are using in ABAP and HANA, can we develop all objects which we can do, which we can do using SAP GUI?
Yeah, again, there are things here. See, here the agenda is what? To develop the reports. Okay, so we have the scripts, smart forms, all those things that can be done only through GUI. That can be done only through GUI. Understood? By using this ANAR Studio, only it is for report development. Only for report development and only for designing the database objects, not for the scripts and smart form. So that will remain as it is. Script smart form will remain as it is. See, performance means we should think about reports only, na? So how do you improve the performance of the reports? By pushing your code to HANA database. To develop that reports, to enhance that reports, to push the code to the HANA database, we use this particular interface called as HANA Studio.
So in
Right?
SAP GUI for enhancing the transaction, we need to go for module pool programming, and in
Yeah.
HANA Studio for enhancing the views, we need to go for UI5. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, if it is front end departments, yes, you have to go for UI5. Front end. If it is front
Okay.
end departments, you have to go for UI5. Okay. If it is related to database, we'll go for it HANA Studio.
Okay. And the HANA Studio in native HANA development and ABAP on HANA, is that both same or is
Same.
there any
Same.
difference?
No, no, same. Okay, same. Actually, what is this HANA Studio means? Those who know UI5 will understand it better. HANA Studio is also an Eclipse tool. How do we do the UI5 application development? We use either Eclipse or what WebID. So HANA Studio also is what Eclipse tool only. But what SAP has done is in that Eclipse tool, they have installed some HANA related plugins in Eclipse tool. They've installed some HANA related plugins and they renamed it as what? HANA Studio. Okay, so just to show you that, I don't know whether the server is ready or not. Let me just cross check this. 1 second, let me cross check. Yeah. So here I'm having a tool here, SAP HANA Studio. SAP HANA Studio is also an Eclipse tool, but I cannot call it as Eclipse. On top of that Eclipse tool, they have associated, installed some HANA related plugins, softwares, and they renamed it as what? SAP HANA Studio. Okay. The plain Eclipse tool, we use it for UI5 development. Okay. This HANA Studio is used to what? Do the HANA related development. So I'll double click on this. Anyhow, once I start the practical part, I'll explain in detail about HANA Studio. Yeah. So see here, just you may not understand it immediately, but this is my HANA Studio, okay, which is like an Eclipse based tool only. So once we log into the HANA Studio, once you open the HANA Studio, we'll have different types of perspective. We'll have different types of perspective. Perspective means look and feel, or perspective means different kinds of views. Means assume that what is my agenda here? I need to develop the database objects. I need to develop the what database HANA related database objects. So what I have to do? I need to open development perspective. So you can see here somewhere on my application toolbar. Okay, somewhere here I am having one icon here, SAP HANA development, right hand corner, on the top right hand corner where I am moving the mouse. Okay, this is your SAP HANA development. So see here, I'll just click on this. I'll explain this once again when I go to that. Okay, done. So this is my, yeah, it's asking the password. Yeah, what I said here, good. You can observe here. From this HANA Studio, we have to connect it to what HANA database. No? So it is asking me the credentials. Let me give it. Oh, good. So it has connected here. It has connected to my HANA database. Yeah. So this is nothing. What perspective? Development perspective. Perspective means view. View means look and feel. So I mean my development perspective, I'm having three tabs here: Project Explorer, Repository System. Okay. So what I said here, as a native HANA developer, we are going to create and manage what? Database objects. Okay. So if you see here, again, you will not understand all these things. One second, please. One second. I'm just trying to open my earlier this thing. What is content, what is catalog? Again, we'll discuss in detail. Don't worry about that. Yeah, let me open one of the what user here, schema here. Okay, what is schema? Again, we'll see later on. See here, column views. Okay, functions, indexes, procedures, sequences, synonyms, tables, triggers, views. All this comes under what? HANA database objects. So in order to do my native HANA development, I opened HANA Studio. I switched to what? Development perspective. When I'm switching to development perspective, it is asking the credentials to connect to my HANA database. Okay, so assume that I've connected here. Now I need to develop what? Procedures, functions, synonyms, all those things. So I'll right click on this. I'll open SQL console. I'll write the SQL script programs, SQL script statements here for creating the tables, views, procedures, functions, all those things. So this is nothing but called as what? Native HANA development. So once my database objects are ready, okay, assume that I need to develop what? A CDS view, or I need to develop an AMDP. So what I have to do for doing this development, CDS views or AMDP, I require ABAP perspective. I require ABAP perspective. So what I'll do, on my application toolbar, on the top right hand corner, you can see we have a perspective called as ABAP perspective. I'll just click on that. Good. It has switched to what? ABAP perspective. Okay, so in this ABAP perspective, I can develop the CDS views, I can develop the AMDPs. Like that, we have different types of what? Developments. We have different types of developments. Okay, so, understood. So other ABAP repository object. Understood. So we have different types of developments here. Yeah, what is this here? Core data services. So for developing the CDS views, I must come to what? ABAP perspective only. I cannot do it from what? Development perspective. So I'll just click on next. You will not understand, just leave it. Yeah, so I'll develop one something CDS views. Okay, so I'll develop the CDS views. Similarly, I can develop what? AMDPs. So for each type of object we require different perspective. Now I want to create something called as modeling views. So I need to switch to what? Modeler perspective. So we have different types of perspectives here: debugging perspective, administration perspective, modeling perspective, development perspective, ABAP perspective, debugging. The way we do debug in our SAP GUI and here it is different. Okay, so as part of the course, we will be switching to the debug perspective and we'll see how to debug our objects also. Understood? So what I mean to say is, HANA Studio is what? It is a tool. HANA Studio is a tool. Okay, it's a client tool used for what? Connecting to what? HANA database. Okay, and develop the objects related to what? HANA database. Okay, what is this tool? Basically, it is an Eclipse based tool installed with what? HANA plugins, and SAP renamed it as what? HANA Studio. As part of this tool, what I said, we'll have different types of what? Perspectives for developing the application related to what? HANA. So for HANA development, we can do the database objects. If you go to ABAP perspective, we can develop CDS views and the AMDPs. So each perspective will contain its own design view. Okay, so again, what are the different perspective? All those things we'll discuss in the next 1 or 2 days. Okay, and once we connect, we'll write the SQL script statements. We'll develop the different types of what? Objects. Am I clear? So as part of our course, we'll be using HANA Studio majorly. Very less we'll be using what? SAP GUI. Means whatever the development I am doing through HANA Studio, I can see some objects from SAP, not all the objects, only some objects from SAP GUI. So at that time, I'll go to what? SAP GUI and we'll see the objects related to what? HANA database. So if you see this here, this is my HANA Studio where I can do the HANA development. And if I go to this, let me try to open this. So this is SAP GUI. Oh, yeah. So system status. Okay, so you can see the database system here. What is this? HDB, HANA database. So what are the development we do through HANA Studio? I can see some of the objects using what? SAP GUI. But our focus is what? To get hands-on experience on what? HANA Studio. HANA Studio. Done. So here, as part of our course is concerned, initially what we are going to do is we'll be starting with what? Native HANA development. Means we'll keep this database objects ready. We'll create all different types of what? Objects. The thing what called as what? Native HANA development. Okay, we'll see all these things. Okay, then after that, once we are done with what? Native HANA development, we'll go to what? Different concepts like those who know Java. In Java we have JDBC. Here we have something called as what? ADBC, ABAP database connectivity, AMDP, CDS views. Okay, and integrated data access for developing the ALV reports. The way we develop the ALV reports in HANA is different compared with our traditional ALV reports. Okay, we'll be using the ALV reports, and so everything is practical. Okay, only today and tomorrow probably some part will be theory, but from day 3 onwards, okay, we'll be starting with your practical part. So it's completely technical course, no functional. We are not going to discuss anything related to functional. Everything will be what? Focus keeping ABAP consultants in what? Mind, not functional consultants in mind. Done. So one more thing I want to convey. Class timings would be 6 to 7 a.m. initially, 6 to 7 a.m. initially, but maybe after a few weeks, maybe after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it is, I may make it 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. So you need to be flexible. Okay. Today, since this is the first session, I have started little late and I'm continuing till 7:30. But for the first 2 weeks or so, we'll continue at what? 6 to 7 a.m. only. This is for first 2 weeks, or I'll let you know when I'll shift it to 6:30. So going forward, after 2 weeks, we may have this class from 6:30 a.m. to what? 7:30 a.m. After 2 weeks, okay, class timings will be from what? 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. and we require around 40 hours. So I'm not saying days. We require around what? 40 hours. Okay, and course duration would be between 45 days to what? 2 months. 45 days to 2 months. And classes will be officially on from what? Monday to Friday. If required during the course, if required, if it is possible for everyone and myself, we'll have it on Saturday. Otherwise, official is from Monday to Friday. First 2 weeks will be 6 to 7 a.m. Okay, and whatever we discuss during this in the live session, everything I'll send it through email. Okay, detailed notes, diagrams, programs, everything whatever we discuss in the live session, I'll be sharing the what notes on a daily basis. So during the session, you need not take anything, you need not copy anything, just listen to the session. If you have any questions, you can ask me at the same time. You need not wait till the end of the session. Okay, by the end of the session means again we may go to new topic. So wherever you feel that you have any queries on that, you can stop me and ask. You can unmute and speak, or you can use the chat box also. Okay, so this is our course plan. Any questions, please ask me. Tomorrow what we are going to do is we are going to discuss the features of HANA. Today we understood as an ABAP consultant what is your role related to HANA, and tomorrow we'll see what is HANA architecture, what are the features of HANA database, what do you mean by in-memory database. Okay, and we'll start, if possible, we'll start with what programming also from tomorrow. Okay, so any questions for today? And daily what the meeting ID will be sent between 6 to 6:10 a.m. Okay, I'm saying 6 a.m. but definitely na, it will get late, so don't get panic. Anytime between 6 to 6:10 a.m. you'll get the meeting ID. Daily it will be a new meeting ID, right? So any questions for today, please ask me.
Yes, sir. Madan here again.
Yeah, Madan, tell me.
Actually, you said like MPP is replaced with UI views, right? Like that,
Correct.
data migration techniques also replaced by anything, or that those are remain same, and we can go for SAP GUI.
See, when
Only
you talk
BDC.
about, yeah, when you talk about data migration or traditional ABAP, you are saying what data is there in what text file or Excel file. You'll write the BDCs, and that will remain same. What I am talking here is data from one database to another database. This one, data migration from one database to another database. This is done by using what SLT tools, SAP landscape transformation. If the data is there in text file and Excel file, if you want to write the BDCs, what are the function model we use, that will remain same. So there we are transferring it from legacy system to what SAP system. Legacy system is what here, text or what Excel file. Here I'm talking about non-ANA database to ANA database.
S- And we can use all function models and BAPs in HANA too, sir.
No, no, we can't. We can't. Okay, we'll understand that. We can't use because we are doing the development where in the ANA Studio, no? Some development we are doing in what? ANA Studio, which can be done only in what? ANA Studio. So I cannot, if you take our CDS views or AMDBs, I cannot call those function models, I cannot call those methods here. Okay, not possible. If it is in a report, yes, what are the function models we have in our ABAP system? that we can call. But in the CDS and AMDPs, I cannot call those function models. We can call those function in the reports, but not in the CDS and AMDPs. Clear,
Okay, sir.
Madan?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, sir.
Yeah, Rohit, any questions? You are unmuted. Rohit? Rohit, your voice is not audible to me. Are you speaking? Yeah, Raghavendra, go ahead. What is the doubt? Raghavendra, you have any questions? Yeah, any other questions, please ask me.
Sir, are you going to share the videos as per our
Yeah, yes. That will continue, Madan. Okay?
okay, sir.
Yeah. The videos also will be shared, and that videos you will have preview access during the course. Preview access during the course. Suppose if the course goes for 2 months, okay, we'll share these videos for 2 months. This video sharing, I may not be able to share on a daily basis, but every alternate day I'll share the videos. Every alternate days I'll share the videos. Okay. Yeah, coming to server access, again, this important point. See, server access, we basically, I don't want to take that headache. Okay, yes, other people they may provide the server access, but no, we are only into training. We are only into training. This server access, you need to take it from outside vendor. Okay, so what I'll do is once I start the practical part, either tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I'll share that vendor details. Okay, you can refer my name and you can take the server access. They'll charge some 1,000 rupees to 1,200 per month. Okay, so you need to take it for 2 months or so. So 1,000 rupees to 1,200 per month. You need to take it from outside vendor only. We are only into training. Okay. Yeah, Rohit, hope it's clear. SQL monitor means performance, Raghavendra. Okay, after copying it to HANA system, we need to enhance them and we need to evaluate the performance. That is nothing but SQL monitor, or we call it as performance analysis. If you can mail me in detail, I can comment on that in detail. Okay, you can mail me offline, then I can reply to that also. The agenda of copying the old reports is to enhance the performance. Okay, enhance the performance. We should check how the SQL statements are getting executed. We need to monitor that particular SQL statements. So if you can send me a detailed mail, yeah, obviously that's what I said. Now here, if you take our sidecar implementation, okay, what we will do is we'll take the existing report, we'll evaluate the performance. Okay, then what I'll do, same report requirement, I'll push the code to what, I'll write the code in such a way that that code gets executed in what, HANA database. Okay, when it gets executed in the HANA database, obviously the performance is not improved. So we'll evaluate the performance, we'll check which one is executing fast. So that is nothing but called what, SQL monitoring as per my knowledge. If you have more on that, you mail me, I'll definitely reply to that. Yes, we are going to learn it as part of our course. Okay, tomorrow I'll show you an example also. Means how we write the program in a traditional ABAP, okay, traditional system, and how we are going to write the same thing in relate to our HANA database. Okay, we'll check what is the difference in the coding style. Just to give an idea, going forward, we'll see the complex examples. Tomorrow, I'll just show you a very simple example. Okay, both traditional approach as well as a new approach. Yeah, Nagula Mira, what you do is, since I think there's a problem in your headphones or some connection issues from your end, what you can do is you can drop me a mail. or immediately after the session, you can call me. You have my number, na? You can call me. Okay, so I'll well, clear your voice, clear your queries, whatever it is.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, one small doubt, sir.
yeah, Manikanta, tell me.
Sir, in the that diagram is there, no, sir? Two HANA database studio. C- yes,
Hmm.
yes, sir. Actually,
Hmm.
while developing this, develop new reports in HANA Studio means automatically it will sit in ABAP application server, and while we are doing this creating and managing database objects, automatically it will connect to HANA database, sir. The same HANA Studio only, sir. These two, the
Same,
same
both
thing,
are
you know.
same. Yeah, same,
Both
same,
are same,
both are.
but by the way we are approaching, automatically it will connect to ABAP server in
Yeah,
this
here,
below.
yeah, here in the native HANA development, we are directly connecting to HANA database.
Yes,
We
sir.
are directly
Yes.
connected to HANA database. But whereas here it's code based. These are all code based. We are going to write
Yes,
some
sir.
business
Yes.
logic. Okay, so
Yes.
that
Yes.
business logic will push it to what HANA database through application server, through application server.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
yeah.
Sir, how to impact the other system? Like, example, right now we are getting the instrument, we are getting the payments in
No,
the HANA Studio.
Mira, no, your voice is not at all clear. I lost
Okay,
something completely.
okay, fine.
I'm sorry extremely for that. There's a problem in your headphones, I think. Just cross check the others. It will be the same thing every day. Just cross check because others' voice I'm able to hear properly. Only from your end, only some air sound is coming in between. Okay. Yeah, others, any doubts, please ask me. How to import a database to other system is importing in the sense migrating the data. So that migration is taken care by the administrator through SLT tools. Through SLT tools, we have some third-party tools. By using the third-party tools, the data would be migrated from non-HANA databases to what? HANA database. By using SLT tools, importing the database means whatever the data is there in the existing database, we need to migrate to the new system. So that is done by using SLT tools. Actually, transportation is same. Whatever we are doing in our traditional ABAP, transport organizer, it is same, nothing difference. Even if you use HANA Studio also, even if you're using HANA Studio also, it will whenever you save it in the local object, obviously will not ask for any change request. If you store it in a transportable package, if you store it in a transportable package, it will ask you for what? A change request. But slightly, there is something called a delivery unit. We don't have that delivery unit concept in our SAP GUI, but here we have a delivery unit concept. Okay, so yeah, that's what you can see. At the end, I said what? Transporting an object. So we need to discuss about what? Delivery unit. So it is slightly different. Almost same. Here also we have the same thing. What? Request, task, the concept remains same, but there is something called as delivery unit. So we'll see how to transport the HANA objects also. Through delivery unit. So my answer for timing is through delivery units. Mira, is it clear? So it is part of the course. We'll discuss it practically. Yeah. So I repeat once again, it is not functional course. Okay. I have exclusively designed this only for what? ABAP consultants. Okay. Yes. If you compare the other course contents, in that now you will have both functional and technical, but I know they'll consider more on functional. Okay, so to be fair, I am very poor in functional. Whatever the experience I'm having from last 12 to 13 years experience on SAP, I'm purely into technical. That's why I've designed this course purely for ABAP consultant and my exposure on what ANA related things. So we'll stick to this particular thing, and with this whatever we are going to learn as part of the course, you can project strong experience of what 2 years on ANA itself. Okay, if you're projecting some 6 to 7 years of experience, overall experience. Out of that, last 2 years you can project on what HANA. Okay, you cannot project more than that because HANA came into existence from last 2 to 3 years only, right? If you say that 5 years experience on HANA, no one will believe that. It's a fake. Okay, so you should be careful on that. So by completing this course, you can project up to strong experience on HANA for 2 years. Done. So if you don't have any further questions, I'll wind off. Tomorrow we'll continue around 6 o'clock. Okay, so official timing will be 6 to 7. Initially, for the first 4 or 5 days, I may not take exactly 1 hour. I'll take around 50 minutes. Later on, once the batch is formed, we'll make it 1 hour or be flexible. Okay, for 10-15 minutes extension. Okay. Chalo then. So I'll wind off. We'll continue tomorrow around 6 o'clock.